him, "Are you a narcissist?" He said, "What is a narcissist?" So I just ran it down to him, and explained what it was. He said, "What are you, a psychic or something?" I said, "No, I'm not a psychic. I'm a prophetess, though." And then I had to explain that part of it. But long story short, I had to cut out all ties. I had to disconnect from him. And it was very hard to do that because he stalked me. He called me from private numbers. He, everywhere I was at, he met me there and threatened to very verbal threats and
Mm.
physical, did the same thing. So I just prayed that demon up off me. And here I am now surviving it. I thought I was out, y'all, again. I really thought I was losing myself because he did have me under his spell for a little while, but I had to break free from that. So I know if I can do it, you guys can too. And you don't have to settle for less.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I just actually added my YouTube to the chat, so people are gonna be coming in at a time. Hey everybody out there in the chat, want to shout everybody out. Got a special for y'all on Thursday. So we are just going to go with the questions that were put in the last time for this panel. Okay, and I'm gonna ask the question, and everybody can just just take a second and give your response. Okay. All right. Here we go. Good gracious. All right, so good evening, everybody. The first question that we're going over is how does covert narcissism look in a parent, and how does it affect the child without them realizing it?
Repeat that again, Harriel. How
does covert narcissism look in parents, and how it affects the children without them realizing it? How does covert narcissism, meaning not out in the open, how does that look in parents, and what's the effect that it has on children?
Okay, I like
Go
the
ahead,
answer.
get it started.
All right, so how does it look as a covert parent to a child, and how does a child not notice it? Well, the first thing about a covert parent is it's a dynamic. So anytime, more than likely, there's more than one child. I know that it can happen to someone that's the only child, but a lot of times when you have a covert narcissist as a parent, it always deals with more than one child. And so they have a dynamic of golden child versus scapegoat. So in other words, that narcissistic parent always has one child in that group that it lifts up and tries to discourage the other child, which is called the scapegoat. However, I don't know if the child doesn't know it, because the child does know it. That's one reason why many of you tonight, many listeners tonight, have battled with, I should say, rejection from childhood. Why? Because it started from your childhood. You were used to people in authority, someone that should have loved you, someone that should have respected you, someone that should be nourishing you. You were familiar with that spirit from childhood, because that's what a narcissistic parent will do. And what they do is they belittle you. Oh, you'll never get anything right. You're stupid. You're not the prettiest. You're the darkest. You're the fattest. You're this, you're that. Whatever their little dynamic in their world that's how they try to come against that child. And that child usually, like I said, knows, because it deals with their self-esteem. It deals with how they feel as a person, which means in school, they're going to have issues with, their voice. they draw back instead of going forward. They draw back because that dynamic is always in the back of their mind. My mother or my father thought I wasn't good enough, so certainly I shouldn't have anything to say. So I think that's one of the ways that you can identify a narcissistic parent, because that parent will always have a dynamic. It's always a dynamic. This is where my background in social work. So this is also where it can go into personality disorders. That parent has like a borderline disorder, has a dynamic of black and white. There's nothing in between, and that's the way a narcissist parent is. There's nothing in between. They either love you or they're gonna kill you. They're either gonna love you or they're gonna strip you down.
Thank you. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I think
2 minutes. We want
I
everybody
think maybe in a
keep your
parent
responses in
manifest.
just out of 2 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn your volume up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it can manifest in a bunch of ways, but I think the telltale sign is it's always about them, and that they
Hold
never
on.
take responsibility for anything. It's always either your fault or someone else's fault. You know, and they refuse to take responsibility for what they do, the decisions they make, and the decisions are usually always made to cater to what they want at your expense. You know, so I remember one time my father had mentioned to my mother that he wanted to get some property because that would give him a way to have inheritance for us when we grew
I'm
up.
sorry, Andre, 1 second. I'm gonna ask everybody on the panel to mute your mic while somebody else is talking, because we get a lot of feedback. People can't understand what we're saying. So mute yourself.
Yeah, so one of the things I remember as a child is, you know, my dad wanted to buy some property because he knew it would increase in value. And he told my mother that, you know, he wanted to get the property so that when we grew up, there would be something to inherit. And her response to it was, the children take care of themselves when they grow up. You know, what about taking me on a vacation? And, you know, I guess I might have been about 9, but I never forgot that response. You know, in the divorce, just never took responsibility for any of the problems in the family. You know, just it was always he was the devil. You know, it was never, you know, no introspection whatsoever in what they did. And so that's just one of the points that I'd like to mention. By the way, that was difficult to share, but it was pretty painful, you know, the level of selfishness. And then you always got to cater to their ego. You know, if you aren't lapping praise on them, they could be in a very bad mood. And it's really difficult when your parent cuts you off, you know, may not speak to you for months because they feel like they have to teach you a lesson. And it's all manipulative. Thank you for letting me share.
Anybody else want to chime in on that one? Okay, we're going to keep it moving then. You want to jump in there, Stephanie? Okay, so great question for everybody. Okay, well, you know what? Let me just say something on that real quick. And the question was, for everybody that didn't hear it, the question was, how does covert narcissism look in a parent? What does it look like in a parent? And how does it affect children without them realizing it? Covert narcissism, what it looks like in a parent, from what I have seen and from what I know about it, is that's the parent that you think they love the child the same way you do. You assume because you treat the child a certain way, and because you're around that other parent, and you conduct yourself a certain way around a child, and they conduct themselves a certain way around the child, you assume that that's how it is at all times. But when you're not around, they don't do the same thing. When you're not around, they will back away from the child. And when they're trying to manipulate the child into not liking the other parent, they will give signs, not physical signs, but they have a way of controlling that energy when the child may be happy with you, or they talk about how much they like you, love you. The child will, the other parent will show the child that disappoints them by changing the subject, or doing something like that. And they'll let their child know that they don't really like that. That's what it looks like when you're not around. To the child, they're trying to figure out, why does it feel different when I'm around this parent versus how it feels when I'm around the other parent. We could go further, but we're going to keep it moving. So question number 2 was, does a narcissist ever change their ways? I know all of y'all want to say something about this. Does a narc ever change? Who want to jump in there first?
No, because they don't even think they have a problem. So no, they have never changed. There's nothing wrong with them in their head.
Never ever? Never ever?
Well, it's possible though.
Okay, hold up, Laura. Hold up 1 second. Let me. You. There you
Can
go.
I
Go ahead.
add to that?
Go ahead.
They
Go ahead,
will
Stephanie.
change little. What they'll do is they'll get better at hiding. A covert narcissist, once you figure it out, you start to get on the track and you start asking them questions, they'll get better at hiding, the truth. So they do change. They change their, they keep the same strategy, or they keep the same, ways about them, but they'll start doing things differently just to throw you off, you know.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, it certainly takes an act of God if they ever would change. However, my experience has been they're the same. Matter of fact, that's why it's so strange. In our last discussion, I talked about chasing after that feeling and that vibe that you had with them initially when you got with them. It'll never happen, because the true person, that's who they are manifesting now. That's who they really were. So the mask has fallen off. There's no more hiding. The one I knew, it's crazy, because it's like you keep coming back and you're still the same. It's like, what do you think? Who do you think you are, first of all? Second of all, you just so anyway, no, they don't. And because of their arrogance, that's the other thing about a narcissist, Jezebel. They're arrogant, and so they feel like they have something that you want. Usually, they're attractive, right? Most of them that there's something nice about them, something, whether it's the accent or the way they walk and look or the eyes. You know how that go, right? So there's something about them, and so they feel like they don't never have to change. This is who I am. I got you the first time, and that's what I want. So I would have to say no, because the one I know, they're still the same, and they come with the same bag of tricks. But the difference is you have to know not to let them back in. That's the difference.
I'm with you on that. Who want to jump in there next on that? Ken?
I think one is management. managing yourself and then managing the people that you interact with. And you just have to do it because you cannot completely avoid narcissists. There are narcissists everywhere. There's narcissists on your job, narcissists in your family. You know, some of your friends might be narcissists or married to one. And, you know, you can't change people. You can only manage you. So you have to be able to be firm in setting your own boundaries, setting your own expectations, and making them clear. You know, um, you know, you got to be able to set up what you want first. I know it sounds bad, but you know, a lot of times a narcissist will lie to you. They will tell you they're gonna do this if you do that. You do it, but you don't get nothing for it. You know, and they're insatiable in their entitlement. You know, you cannot be satisfied. There is no such thing as you can do enough, be enough, or give enough to a person who has an insatiable appetite. You know, and usually, so they have that arrogant thing because they think they're superior, but they also know they're inferior. So they vasculate between two 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 paradigms of one either being super believing they're better than everybody to a lot of insecurity, and it's like a wash machine. If you get caught up in it, you know, one minute you're medicating them and the next minute, you know, that you getting hurt because either they won't listen to you because they think they know it all, or they won't listen to you because they think you're not smarter than they are, so they have to be the lecturer. So, you know, you got to be in demand. You got to be able to tell people when to say good night, goodbye, go home, and maybe even hang up, you know? So that's my thoughts. Y'all can share what you think about them.
Still me. Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was being heard or not. The easiest way for narcissists to change, because they can be changed. They can be changed through confrontation of oneself. On the spiritual aspect, when we see ourselves as ourselves, we automatically draw fear because of the disbelief of what we see, and that in itself, fear can change a narcissist, and will change a narcissist. I mean, I'm not gonna get deep into it, but that's that in a nutshell from the spiritual aspect. Say that again.
There you go. Now it's coming through.
Oh, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying that to change a narcissist, because it's always a narcissist can always be changed, but the main way from the spiritual aspect of it is through confrontation of oneself. When you see what one has become and the disbelief and distaste of oneself, that right there can change a narcissist from being plausible to impossible. And then once you see how impossible you are, then you are doing everything you can to accomplish the goal of becoming possible again. Because we have to remember that the spirit of Jezebel lingers through control, which causes a person to be blocked in their eyesight of themselves. So confrontation of oneself is the easiest way to change a narcissist.
I like that. Absolutely like that one. You know, so for me, can a narcissist change? They absolutely change. They absolutely change every day. They're going to be a little more abusive. Mm-hmm. They're going to be better at lying. The cheat level on narcissism, they are the best cheaters on the planet. They're the best liars in the universe. I mean, we got to give respect where respect is due. The narcissist is the lyingest, cheatingest, most manipulatingest gaslighting. They are professional gaslighters. Professional gaslighters. You cannot avoid being gaslit by a narcissist. If you talk to them, if you agree to talk to them, that's how good they are. I'm willing to jump out there on a limb and say, if you are in a place where you are still communicating with them, you cannot avoid the gaslighting.
It's true.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I would dare to also to say is it's an act. They have to want, if that is possible, they would have to want that. Not me, you, or anybody else. They would have to say, I got to get to God because there's something wrong with me. Now, let me just say this. Because the person I knew, they would say, I know there's something wrong with me. They would say that. I know it. I know there's something wrong with me. And so, but you got to be careful with that, because that's manipulation, because what we did is try to stay around long enough to try to help fix that problem. The problem is we finally never was trying to change. And so that's where we put the brakes on them and say, you know what, I am leaving this time, and that's between you and God. You know, just like I had to come to God on my own, nobody could make. That's what you're going to have to do, because I'm going to look out and love me now, because I'm not putting up with your abuse no more. So, you know, it's got to be something they want, because I can't say that God can't do it. God can do it if they want it to be done. If they want that spirit cast out, if they want to let go of that they're holding on to. I won't say God can't do anything, but what I can say is God told me to exit.
Hey,
Apostle, can I ask you a question?
100% with you on all of that. So that leads us right into the next question, which is it normal for a victim of narcissistic abuse to second guess themselves on everything?
Absolutely. That, because that's the whole makeup and the whole idea of the attitude of narcissism in the first place. Questions. When you question yourself, then you don't have confidence in yourself. So without confidence, there's no ability to perform in any acts of simple things, such as even going to the bathroom. You may even question yourself when you pour a glass of water. I mean, that's the whole objective. And to go with what Apostle was just saying into that question, a person that is spiritually possessed into narcissism, because I know a lot of people don't believe that, but there is a possibility for a person to adapt and to propagate into a spirit of narcissism through demonistic or demonic influence. They could be wrestling with oneself with whether they want to get rid of it or not, because the pleasure of it becomes a settling motion, and they become one with that spirit. So there's no such thing as a person saying, I really don't want to be. They have to be released from the attributes of pleasure in order to leave from that type of thing. So yeah, of course a victim can feel a certain type of way, because that's the whole point of it.
That's a powerful question. And yeah, you got to remember, you will be disillusioned. You will second guess yourself with a narcissist, because you got to remember, there were spells being cast. There was a disillusionment. You know, my mind goes to Apostle Paul, Galatians chapter 3. He said, what have bewitched you that you should not obey the truth? And the reality of it is this, and maybe some of you could agree, maybe not, but I know the Bible teaches us that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So what happens with the disillusionment and the spells that are being cast, they're showing you that I'm no good for you, but we begin to deny the truth. We want to say, no, they're not like that. No, he loved me. No, he would never do. Yes, he will. And so what happens when you don't obey the truth, and when you begin to reject truth, which is light, you begin to go into darkness. And so now you go into allowing Satan to bewitch you. Because Paul asked the question, what has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth? What has happened? Don't you see the rightness on your wall, on the wall? So this is a dynamic, and that's why many of the listeners tonight, you know, it's not your fault really in terms of you being ensnared. You know, but the Bible lets us know that you can be unsnared, you can get delivered, you can now, as we're sitting on the panel, to bring light to what has happened to you, to let you know that you didn't just, it's not a figment of your imagination. You was in some heavy demonic stuff that you never seen in your life. And so, you know, that's what it is.
Anybody else want to chime in? Stephanie?
No,
Well, I don't want to take too long.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Andre. I was just going to say, yeah, 100%. 10 years into my relationship with a covert narcissist, I didn't know who I was anymore. I stopped. I mean, before, when we got together, I was an executive with one of the largest banks in the world. And 10 years later, I didn't wear makeup anymore. I didn't, know how to dress anymore. I didn't know who I was or what I liked, because I was trying so hard to please him. And he was so good at being, covert about it, because I thought, it was all my idea to stop wearing makeup so that he would know I wasn't cheating on him. I wasn't getting prettied up or whatever. So it's very sneaky. It's not something that, sometimes it's not something that you really realize is happening, until one day you just realize where did this come from? I used to be a confident woman or person. And now, I'm second guessing every decision I make, and every center of the, decision making process is what's going to please this person. And there is no pleasing that person. That's all I wanted to say.
You're right about that. Go ahead, Andre.
Apostle said earlier about, narcissists owning up to something wrong with them. And my experience is they'll say something's wrong with them. They just will never identify what that thing is. They'll just say, nobody's perfect, or, we all sin. But they're not going to say, I'm sorry for using you or dismissing you or demeaning you. They're going to only say it from a standpoint where they want to elicit sympathy, but they're not going to show you any empathy. They don't really understand the impact it had on you because they can't, and they don't care about the impact it had on you. And so when they confess, it's because they're concerned about the impact it's having on them.
Okay. Excellent. So what I would say is it definitely is normal. It's definitely normal for you to second guess yourself because you've been conditioned the entire time. And this is a very sneaky way that they go about conditioning you. And it's just this simple. Literally, you say something and they'll go, huh? Because they want to make you repeat what you said. Now that sounds like maybe they didn't hear me, right? They heard you. Once you start to speak and you're telling them something and they're standing right there, they heard you. It's all about you second guessing yourself. You don't have the confidence, and it starts just that small, something just that small, with you constantly repeating yourself. And then after you repeat yourself, it starts making you prove yourself. Everything you say, you gotta prove it. You turn it into a dissertation. No. I took the trash out because before I took the trash out, I remember I was walking down the stairs and I was thinking I could hear the trash truck down the street. And I went outside. I grabbed the trash bag and I ran outside and I scraped my leg coming outside. So you got this long story trying to prove why what you're saying is the truth. The only thing the narc wants out of you is for you to repeat what you're saying and then go into detail. Because when you go into detail, that's showing them you're not confident in what you said. You'll notice when they speak to you, they say it one time. They don't repeat. They're not going to continuously repeat themselves for you. You're going to get it one time and you heard it. With you, sometimes when you call them, you're going to call them 2 or 3 times just to get them to acknowledge that you're calling them. Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. We're going on to the next one. So, when is enough enough? When do you decide to leave a narc? When is enough enough? Go ahead. Anybody? Go ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think we kind of talked about this in the last get together. And, for me, I felt like I was in constant prayer. I can tell you, and I've said several times, I prayed about it before I married him. Maybe I didn't pray long enough. I felt like really God wanted me to marry this man. And I really believe that the time to leave him was when he let me know. Now, in my state, I'm an at fault state. So you need proof of, somebody's at fault in order to end the marriage, or else you get held at fault for ending it without having a reason. So I was always looking for proof. And God didn't reveal that to me. He didn't reveal this man's truth to me until, when he did, it was obvious. And I knew then, So for me, I would say to anybody else, pray about it, follow what God wants you to do. If you don't know what that is, don't do anything until you know.
Yeah. How do you know when enough is enough? I think when you start to love yourself. I think when you start to have self-care, when you start to have self-respect. How about that? Because if you go back in your history, probably all of us can tell the truth on this. We said things and acted ways that we never thought we would ever act. And so it was like lessening our dignity. So we were kind of like, I know for me, like some things I tolerated because I was in a marriage and because I'm strong in what God says, I kind of held on. But I want to help somebody tonight to understand God releases you from foolishness. God releases you from foolishness. He's not a God that desires you to stay in anybody that abuses you. Okay. And so for me is when I decided that this was it. You are not worth any of this. Matter of fact, I gave you more than what I made you feel more than what you really deserved. And so now I'm going to do back out of this, and I'm going to have love for myself. I'm going to have respect for myself, and I'm going to remember how God created me. And so I think when you know enough is enough, when you say love doesn't hurt, because love won't hurt you. See, when they love you, it's not going to hurt you. That's how you know. But he said he's going to do this. We were going to do all of that together. It was all lies. And see, that's part of the mask falling off now, coming into reality that this is what's happening in my life, and begin to self-love. And I'll tell you one last thing. When enough is enough, you start to get back to yourself. You start to eat better. You start to juice and, start put the right things in your body again, because now you're coming back to life, because you're no longer in the fun house no more. You're no longer in the house of horrors no more. And you're starting to live again.
One way I deal with it is I separate ministry from relationships. When it comes to ministry, it's altruistic. I do it expecting nothing in return. I believe in being altruistic towards people. In a relationship, I believe there should be reciprocity. And as soon as you find out that there is not reciprocity in a relationship, that's when you need to put that relationship in a box, a category, and put your boundaries around it. I find myself tripping up with narcissists because I ignore flags. It's not the flags were not there. I ignore them. I justify them. I say, oh, they just can't help themselves, or they don't have this, or whatever. No. It's great to give and not look for something to be returned when you're doing ministry. When you're not a liar, you don't believe people can lie like they do. When you discover this person can lie without blinking and can lie about anything, you're shocked because you're not a liar. You're like, who does that? But lying to them is like breathing. They can do it and they feel no consequences. They feel no guilt about it. But there are flags about these things. And the biggest one is when you're in a relationship with a person, they're never reciprocal. There's no reciprocity in it. They're always looking for you to be the caretaker, the giver, whatever. It's all about their needs. And they might give you a quarter, but they're going to ask you for $200 later, because they're going to give you just enough, like you going fishing, to bait you in. But that is not reciprocity either.
You want to jump in, Ben? Or what about you, Linda? Unmute yourself, Linda. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. For me, it was like I wanted more out of life. I didn't want to be stuck in this box, this cycle with this demonic character. And once I started realizing that God had more for me, it was more that He required from me, and I could not do that stuck behind this demonic person. So you just have to break free and say, hey, this is it. I cannot take it no more. I deserve better. Like we all say, love does not hurt. You have to love yourself. You have to pamper yourself. You have to do things that make you happy. You have to do a self-care for yourself. So you just have to break free from that thing. And once you realize that you're more than enough, then you're gonna leave.
You want to jump in, Ben?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now? Okay. For me, I hear everything that everybody is saying, and I agree totally with everybody, especially with what the apostle said. But for me, it was a different type of process because I never was shown what real love was all about in my upbringing, as far as having somebody tell me that they love me, care about me, or better yet, that they even saw any potential in me about anything. So to break away from narcissism for me consisted of me learning me. I had to find out who I was. I didn't know, because I had been beaten so bad mentally and had been tore down so bad spiritually, because I was raised around a lot of spiritually minded people, a lot of religious people, and their makeup was the order of church. If you didn't follow the order, then you were less than a person. You were not godly. You were not up to par. So I had no idea of my identity. So to say something was enough, I would not have known, because what I had been taught was that you had to take the abuse and more. So when I got around other people that were strong in the faith and actually had a witness and a testimony, and I saw how they lived, and then I compared to what I was living like, that's when I found myself. So I just had to find out who I was, and that's when I realized it was enough.
Got you. Mm-hmm. All right. When is enough enough? When is it over? For real over? For me, I would say it was over for me when I realized that no matter what I did, when I realized I could not be friends with that person, I could not break through. And I was trying for years to just break through, to find a place, a medium ground where, where we both respected. And and it took a long time for me to realize there is no place of respect with them. There is no such thing.
Mm-mm.
You will never find a place with that person where you guys have a mutual respect. Your children, your parents, nothing. They don't well, I ain't gonna go into that. But that was for me, that was the end of the road. That was where I said, okay, you know what? This person doesn't even respect God, so they surely will never respect me. So, it became pretty easy for me after that. And I think that when people start to see this monster, this devil, as the devil, you're not going to be able to see them as a mate anymore. You won't see an attraction to it any longer. As a matter of fact, you'll know you're done when you don't even want to pronounce that name out of your mouth. I haven't said that name in over 2 years. You're just all out. You're all the way out of there. All right, we're gonna jump in on. We're gonna go into the next one.
Right, Harry, can I just add one last thing to that? Because Keeper said something that was real powerful. And when I started to reflect on the whole thing, he said, he didn't know what love was. And when I think about it is, I know I'm giving you my story from when I said love, that I, was self-love and, all that. But it was steps and stages. You're right. It was steps and stages until I got to the final time that I discarded him. And so what I mean was I had years, and somebody that's listening to me may be in that, like, I don't know what year, second, third, whatever year. But when I was talking, it was my final time that it was like, that's it. But obviously I didn't love myself all those other times, because I would keep going back and I would keep trying to figure out how I'll go on this angle with him and say, okay, then I'll go on this angle with him. And, and then finally, so you know what, it's this abuse, this spirit, it steps and stages. You'll come to that point where you say, okay, and let me make this last thought, because it's important. Because it's true. Sometimes we don't know what love is. And that's why we got involved with these individuals, because we thought what they were giving was love, and it wasn't. However, what happened was, all the time that this was happening to me, God was wooing me. God was saying, come back over here. Come, let me show you who you are. And so that's how I finally found out again that God loves me. And, then he was like, now you love yourself. This is part of you loving yourself, to get away from this person. So I just wanted to add that, because that was powerful, Keeper, because that's true. When I think back, it wasn't, I'm just giving you my story from when I said that was it, but it was years before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey y'all, we got a trick question in here now. Can a victim of narcissistic abuse be a narcissist? Can the victim also be a narcissist? I'm gonna start that one out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We see it every day. You'll see your narc run to another narcissist. And I've seen it time and time again, when they run off because they are so quick and they jump into something else with somebody else, and they just thought they were that was the red ball that they've been looking for all their life. Forget about being married to you. They see a red ball, you know, and there goes a silver ball. So they will go and run to another person because a narcissist has absolutely no qualifications other than supply. As long as that person can give them some supply. Well, you know, a narcissist isn't a person that's going to go into depth with anything. So they're easily tricked. And most of the time, they run to other narcs. And that's why we always see them come running right back, you know, apologizing and trying to make up, and happens all the time. Go ahead, John. Go ahead. Jump in there.
So could we say that a narcissist is a hustler? You know, they're about to hustle. They trying to hustle you. They try to hustle anybody. They always want the shortcut, and they want the biggest end of the deal. And unfortunately, capitalism is basically a hustle. Capitalism, in its definition, is how can I capitalize on you? I'm going to objectify you to my gain. Slavery was built on the whole idea is you should get nothing and I should be rewarded. Your labor should benefit me, not you.
Anybody?
And by the way, there are lots of pastors that are hustlers. There's a lot of pastors that are absolute narcissists.
Yeah.
They do absolutely nothing for the people in their congregation.
Mm-hmm.
But they think they should get a car, a house, a credit card. We ought to praise them every Sunday. They don't come to church to teach you nothing. They come to church so you can feed their ego. They are narcissistic hustlers. And if you leave them, they will badmouth you, dog you out, and call you a demon because you took away their benefit. They'll tell you to deny yourself, sacrifice and tithe, and buy Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lori.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, narcissism, Jezebel is everywhere. And it's unfortunate. It is in the church. It's in businesses. You know, I remember when I was working where I was working in my past, I had a narcissistic, I mean, she was evil to me. She hated me, my supervisor. And so, you know, it's everywhere. And so this is why these types of teachings and us coming here, you know, kind of to help people understand that people are just wicked now. They're just wicked. Yeah. You know, they're just wicked, and you have to know the difference. And I'm going to tell you another thing. One of the things I realized, even from the church, even though I'm called to people. I love people, but God has let me know you do not have to stay anywhere, whether it's leader to congregants, to be abused. And what do I mean by that? Matthew chapter 10, the Lord Jesus himself said this. He said, when you go in a city and you send your peace and that peace does not return back to you, he said, stay. No, he said, go, shake the dust off your feet, and I'm going to use it as a testimony against them. In other words, I think sometimes because we have, you know, we love God, we love the church, that kind of thing, we feel like we have to be abused, especially as a leader. I can tell you, as I have run churches, that people are, you know, people talk the other way about the leader the leader is this, the leader is that. Well, people are abusive to leaders. And because they feel that the leader has to take all of their mess, they abuse that God-given leader that God gave them. But I got news for the devil. God gave me a revelation, and I'm taking it across the nation, that you don't have to be abused by anybody. Matter of fact, I told you last time in the last class, I told you what the scripture said, turn away from them. No, stay with them. No, turn away from them, the scripture said. Turn away from those people. There's some people, according to scripture, are children of God and children of the devil. And our job now is to discern who's around you. And when you find that out, don't you spare not one of them. Like Paul did, the Apostle Paul, he called a spade a spade. He was not afraid. He called Demas out. He called Alexander out. He called them all out. He said, I turn them over to the devil. No, he said, no, he said, I turn them over that they may learn not to do what they're doing. So what I'm saying in this season of our lives, God is giving us wisdom. You don't have to abuse anymore. But the key is we have to open our eyes and see the truth.
That's right. Hey, let's keep it moving.
One way you can tell if a leader is a narcissist, they will always talk about being faithful. They will always talk about loyalty. They will always talk about giving, but they will never be givers. They will never be loyal to you, and they never talk about their faithfulness to you. It's the same thing with having a narcissistic husband. A narcissistic husband, he's going to talk about you shouldn't cheat. And usually when men are on, they think a woman's cheating because they cheating. Guilt does that to you. But it does. You know, if they thieves, they'll swear you a thief too, because you can't possibly be any gooder than they are. If they liars, they're going to swear you liar. That they'll project that thing on you. But you can tell because it's rare you hear pastors talk about how they serve and see how they serve. I remember one time my pastor told me I was supposed to take a college exam, and he told me I should come and help set the church up instead of studying. I said, well, fine. If you want me to help set the church up, I'll come do that, even though I can do more in 1 hour than most folks can do in 3. When I'm done, how about you come over my house and help me study? He said, you go on home and study now. That's all right. Because he wasn't about to do anything for me. He wasn't going to help me. He didn't want to help me, but he wanted to guilt trip me into helping him. Anyway, thank you.
Hey, listen. So we're gonna sew it up right here with this last one. We got about halfway through. We're gonna bring it back again maybe next week and do this again. So this last question we're gonna jump on is, does the narcissist always hover? Do they always hover you when you have discarded them? Yeah, I'll go first.
Does a buzzard hover over a dead carcass?
Well, mine did. It took a long time, and he's still calling private. You know, and I didn't pray that demon away, but they're gonna still hover because they want to reel you back in and manipulate you. You know, that's what they want. They want that control.
I believe narcissists prey on people they know are givers. I believe they prey on people they know care. So their hopes is if they just give you a little distance, stay away for a little bit, send you a love note, you're going to forget about the disappointments. Because I think that's the biggest thing you get from a narcissist is the constant disappointment. And then you get mad that you chase that carrot again. So.
Yeah.
Gloria?
Yeah. Yes, they always will hover. That is part of the MO. That's part of their personality. They will always hoover you for a few reasons. One of them, they're coming back to check the temperature. They're coming back to see where you are. Also, they're coming to what I call, surveillance you. In other words, what's going on in your life? You know, have you moved on, and that kind of thing. Because remember, they're manipulators, right? So they're trying to see if they can ever come in. Why? Because you were grade A supply. And they understood that there's no one like you, so they always want to keep that door open. So anybody listening tonight, they will always, I know somebody's crying, but he didn't call me yet. Y'all said that they're going to come back because you want them to come back. They will, but God want to keep them away from you. If you could just hold on. God's trying to get you delivered from them, because the MO in a narcissist is always there. We used to say something in the church: every shut eye ain't sleep, every goodbye ain't gold, and everything that's glittering ain't gold. So in other words, you may not see them, but they're around and they're lurking like a devil that they are, to see where you are. But you can overcome that and just know, yes, they will always hover you. They never leave you alone. Never. Ever.
Hey, Keffa, you want to jump in there real quick?
Yeah, sure. They never leave you alone, point blank. I mean, if it's not the individual, it's the influence. You never get away from that. And in my experiences, I have learned to overcome it, as Apostle was just relaying right there. And I think that's a problem mainly in the church. Now, I can't speak for the business world because I'm not as successful as some of you guys when it comes to business. But when it comes down to church, the spirit of narcissism in that sense is always there. Even when you excommunicate the individual from your circle, the influence is still there. So there has to be some type of discernment somewhere to be able to call those spirits out. Now, I'm a deliverance minister. So as a deliverance minister, I'm always looking for backlash and residue. I'm not really so much as concerned about the forefront spirit, because the forefront spirit can be cast out. That's not an issue. The issue is what's left behind. So Apostle almost got me excited. I'm trying to be cool, calm, and collected with my shades on. And Apostle got me all excited when she was talking, because the abuse that we as leaders receive in that nature is incomprehensible. I don't even think you can teach enough about that, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna calm down and shut up, because that's cool question. Real cool.
Yeah. Yes, it is, man. You know, for me, hold up 1 second, y'all. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read her notes. Hoover. That's something that everybody that I coach, and we talk about it in my chats nightly, because nobody believes after y'all remember the movie Training Day, how Denzel was out there talking about King Kong ain't got nothing on me. That's the spirit that the narcissist has when they leaving you for somebody else. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me. They leave you with a feeling like there is no way this person is going to come back crying and begging. There's no, it's not possible. Not the way they dogged me, not the way they was cheating on me, not the way they was so full of life, and they were so positive that this new person is the best person they ever met in their life, and there's no way they're going to come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, every last one of them trifling, no good jokers gonna be back. But this is the one requirement that I've realized, even in that. If you are not being hoovered, you ain't, it's just simply because you haven't closed that door. You have not shut the door. A narcissist is not gonna hoover you if they still can come back anytime they want. You still talk to them. They have done things that do not deserve another conversation from you. Another word. They have done things to prove they are not worthy. of standing next to you and breathing. Okay, they have proven that they are not on the same level. They should not have time or be allowed in your space. And somehow we still, oh yeah, they still text. They text me the other day, or they inbox me this, or well, why would they ever come back to you when they can come back anytime they want? But the moment and it takes a lot to get to this place of totally cutting somebody off. I'm telling you, a narcissist cannot resist something that they cannot have.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to ask for people that don't know that might be listening to this, and myself included, like, what exactly does hovering mean, or hoovering?
Well, hoovering but the term came from and this is old school. The Hoover vacuum cleaner. It was supposedly had the best suction of any vacuum cleaner. And when the narc comes back, hold up. When a narc comes back, they don't just come back, like somebody normal. They come back saying everything they didn't say, everything you were waiting to hear from them before they were gone, or you either discarded them or they discarded you, everything that you wanted to hear. So they're bringing all of that energy back. They're telling you, baby, I want my family back. I need you back. And they're sucking on you. They're pulling you in. It's not, see, when you are just going to do something as simple as have a conversation with them, they already know, I got you. I got you. I got you talking. I got you. Now all I got to do is convince you that I'm the one you should be listening to, not that voice that's inside you. Okay? So they're going to take you through a series of different things. And once they put their finger on the right, and see what they really try to do is, they don't really try to ask you to come back. They really want to trick their way back in. They want to get around asking, baby, can we get back together? So what they'll do is say, instead of saying, can I come back? Will you take me back? They'll say, baby, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not even going to ask you, can I come back? I'm going to show you that I changed. I'm going to show you that I'm another person. I'm not that person that left here. I'm going to show you. But see, what we don't see all the time is, hold it. I didn't even tell you I wanted you to come back. How you going to show me? See, that's how they get around asking. Oh, they are more than, see, and this is the same person that we're sitting there wondering, do they know what they're doing? Listen, again, I give credit where credit is due. This devil is the best liar, the best deceiver, the best cheater. In the universe, there's nobody who can compare to the acting job that they're going to give you when they want to come back home. You're going to think that y'all just met again. It's going to feel magical. You're going to think you're at Disney World. That's why it's called the Hoover, because they're not just coming back with integrity. You see what I'm saying? They're not coming back saying, or being somebody that's about something. They're going to come back and they're just going to, listen, I'm going to trick you like I've been tricking you the whole time. I ain't going to tell you that, but that's what it's going to be. And that's why that's why they named it the Hoover. Because it's not just trying to get back with you. It's, they throwing everything at, I got a gift. I'm going to bring some flowers. I'm going to take you out to dinner. I know I don't do nothing for you, but I'm going to do something for you now because you've been waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so, hey, guys, listen. We will be on here all night. We haven't even got halfway through these questions. So we're going to just bring it back again next week. How about that? Y'all cool with that?
Yeah.
And we'll work our way down through here. They got some awesome questions. You know, y'all feeling like that? I guess we can talk after, discuss later. But hey, I want to thank everybody who came in the chat. We had incredible participation in here tonight. You know, everybody, thank you for joining us. And as you can see, you know, everybody's coming to the table with something, a little something different. So, and the purpose of this is I want everybody to be able to just hear it from different angles. That's the reason why it's so important to comment in the chat, because it's just like learning something from a school teacher. You know, everybody has a different learning style. So you might hear somebody say the exact same thing that I'm saying or one of them is saying, but just in a different way. And you get it.
Mm-hmm.
You get it. That's all we need is that spark for you to get it. Hey guys, I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow night for happy hour. And we're gonna get back in here and do the exact same thing that we do. Okay? We're gonna get better. All right. Hey, thanks. I want to thank everybody on the panel that came in here tonight and really, really showed out, you know, as usual, doing their thing. Everybody, man, they came with it in here tonight, y'all. Hey, y'all, thanks again, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night.